Imagine writing your first hit song at 16 years old. Then imagine watching it become a global phenomenon. Then imagine falling into obscurity, completely forgotten, and then clawing your way back to the top of the charts. Again, 20 years later. That's not a movie. That's the life of Neil Sedaka. And yesterday, February 27th, 2026, the world lost him at 86 years old. So today, we're not just mourning. We're celebrating the man, the myth, and the music that shaped generations. Because if you don't know the full story of Neil Sedaka, you've been missing out. Let's get into it. Neil Sedaka was born on March 13, 1939, in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, New York. And from the very beginning, this kid was different. By age 9, he was already studying classical piano. Seriously. While other kids were playing stickball in the streets of Brooklyn, Neil was practicing Chopin and Beethoven. His teachers recognized almost immediately that he had something special, a gift that couldn't be taught. At 13, he won a scholarship to the prestigious Juilliard School of Music. Let that sink in. Juilliard, one of the most competitive music schools in the entire world. And he got in as a teenager from Brooklyn. But here's where the story gets interesting. Because Neil Sedaka didn't want to just play classical music. He wanted to write music. Pop music. Music that made people feel something fast. And so, at 16 years old, he teamed up with his high school friend, Howard Greenfield, and together they started writing songs that would eventually change American pop music forever. By the late 1950s, Neil Sedaka was signed to RCA Victor, one of the biggest record labels in the world at the time. And the hits, they just kept coming. Oh, Carol, written about his then girlfriend, a young woman named Carole King. Yes, that Carole King shot up the charts in 1959. It was raw, it was emotional, and it had that undeniable hook that made you want to sing along the second you heard it. Then came Calendar Girl in 1961, then Happy Birthday Sweet 16. Then the big one, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, in 1962. That song hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. #1. In a time when competition was absolutely fierce, the Beatles were on the horizon. Rock and roll was exploding. Neil Sedaka was right there at the top. He wasn't just a singer. He was a songwriter, a craftsman. He understood melody, he understood emotion, and he understood what made people connect to a song on a deep level. For a few years in the early 60s, Neil Sedaka was one of the biggest stars in America. Teenagers were screaming for him. Girls were fainting at his concerts. He was everywhere. And then, it all stopped. The British invasion of 1964 changed everything. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, they swept through America like a hurricane. And suddenly, the clean-cut pop sound that Neil Sedaka had mastered felt ... like it belonged to a different era. Record sales dropped. Radio stopped playing his music. The screaming fans moved on. For most of the late 1960s and early 1970s, Neil Sedaka was largely invisible in America. He toured the UK, where he still had a loyal fan base. He kept writing. He kept recording. But stateside, silence. Most people would have quit. Most people would have accepted that their time had come and gone, packed up and moved on. Neil Sedaka was not most people. In 1974, something remarkable happened. Elton John, at the time one of the biggest rock stars on the planet, became a massive Neil Sedaka fan. Elton John's new record label, Rocket Records, signed Neil Sedaka. And what followed was one of the most stunning comebacks in the history of popular music. Laughter in the Rain dropped in 1974. It went to #1 again. Then Bad Blood, featuring Elton John himself, #1 again. Back-to-back chart toppers, 15 years after his first run of hits. The man was 35 years old, and he was pulling off something that almost never happens in music. Then, because apparently Neil Sedaka had decided he wasn't done, he re-recorded Breaking Up Is Hard to Do as a slow ballad, a completely different arrangement from the original, and sent it back into the top 10. The same song. Two completely different versions. Two completely different eras, both massive hits. The music industry was stunned. Critics were stunned, and fans? Fans were absolutely in love with him all over again. Let's talk about what Neil Sedaka actually built over the course of his career, because the numbers are staggering. He wrote over 500 songs. 500. Many of those were recorded by other artists, from Tom Jones to Peggy Lee to Frank Sinatra. His songs have been covered thousands of times across dozens of languages and genres. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1983, a recognition that put him alongside the greatest composers in American history. He received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was nominated for 5 Grammy Awards. He appeared on television across 6 decades. He was a guest judge on American Idol Season 2, where he enthusiastically praised Clay Aiken's cover of his song Solitaire, and the clip went viral years later because his genuine joy was so infectious. He was a founding member of the Tokens in the late 1950s. And through all of it, the highs, the lows, the comeback, the long twilight years of continued touring and recording, he never lost his love for music. People who saw him perform in his 80s said the same thing. He played with the energy of a man half his age, and the precision of someone who had spent 70 years perfecting his craft. Yesterday morning, February 27th, 2026, Neil wasn't feeling well. He was taken by ambulance to a hospital. And later that day, his family confirmed what the music world feared. His family released a statement saying, "Our family is devastated by the sudden passing of our beloved husband, father, and grandfather. A true rock and roll legend, an inspiration to millions." He was 86 years old. He is survived by his wife Liba, whom he married in 1962, and their 2 children. 86 years. A life fully lived. A career that spans 7 decades. Songs that will outlive every single one of us watching this video right now. Because that's the thing about great music. It doesn't die when the artist does. Oh, Carol will still make people smile in 2050. Breaking Up Is Hard to Do will still be played at diners and in movies, and in people's heads for generations. Laughter in the Rain will still hit different on a gray afternoon when you need something beautiful. Neil Sedaka gave us all of that, and now it's ours to keep. Rest in peace, Neil. You were one of the greats, and we're going to be playing your music for a long, long time. If this video moved you, if you learned something, or if Neil Sedaka's music was ever part of your life, drop it in the comments. Tell me your favorite song. Tell me where you were when you first heard it. I read every single comment. And if you're new here, this channel is all about celebrating the artists, the stories, and the moments that shaped music history. If that sounds like something you're into, hit that subscribe button right now. Join the community. We'd love to have you. New videos every week. Don't miss them. Until next time, keep listening, keep feeling, and never take great music for granted.